All right, everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the Jordan Report, and I'm your host, Robert Jordan. Everyone, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. All right, as I like to say to most of my brothers and sisters here in America, that if you don't know who George Soros is by now, you probably should not be voting. George Soros has his hands all over black American politics. In fact, I would even go far as to say he controls black American politics, because all the black leaders promote his agenda, including the newly elected district attorneys throughout the country. That's the problem we're having lately. He's putting DA people in office, district attorneys throughout the country. This one here is in St. Louis. He has Kim Foxx in Chicago. He has Mosby in Baltimore. He has another lady in New York. I forgot her name, another black woman. And the strange thing is, they like black women. These are usually black women that they choose for police chiefs and district attorneys. I don't know what it is, but the Soros has liked them. But anyway, here's the latest story on Kim Gardner. Okay, this is the one in St. Louis. She's going through all these problems in St. Louis because she's releasing criminals, which is George Soros' agenda. They're calling it criminal justice reform, but what they're doing is creating chaos. But anyway, here's our latest story. Soros-funded St. Louis circuit attorney claims police harassed her and held her for 15 minutes during traffic stop. Video shows she's lied. This is just the latest of stuff from her. They've been going through this stuff for the last few years with this woman. Far-left billionaire George Soros has been systematically targeting district attorney races throughout the United States for several years now. Several of his candidates are already in office, creating havoc. This is one of them. I told you about Kim Foxx and Mosby in Baltimore. His goal is to create chaos in American cities for some reason. There's a reason, and it can be explained. In St. Louis City, far-left lunatic Kim Gardner took money from Soros in her race for St. Louis Circuit Attorney. A Soros-funded PAC even released an ad in support of this far-left nutcase. Kim won her election and is wreaking havoc on St. Louis and the circuit attorney's office. Kim is so intolerable that 24 attorneys and more than 1/3 of the trial lawyers left the office when she was hired. And this is a Democrat-dominated office. In August of 2018, Kim Gardner announced her attorneys will no longer accept cases from 28 different St. Louis police officers. Gardner called it her exclusion list. Gardner did not tell the officers what they did to get on the list, but they were being censored. This is what they're doing throughout the country. And they're creating havoc. They're deliberately creating havoc. You have to understand this, people, because this is where you live. You think you're supporting these people? You're not. You're supporting George Soros. Here's just one of the cases here. She's talking about these old cases. Soros-backed St. Louis Circuit Attorney refused to charge drug dealer with 1,000 opiate pills and $30,000 in cash. She refused to charge these people. Soros-funded St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner refused to charge killer of a 7-year-old, despite suspect's confession. You think you're voting for her? You're voting for him. You better understand that. And this is why we got to up our game in politics. I'm going to show you the clip of the stop that she went through, this whole police stop where she said she was targeted. I'm going to show you the clip in a minute, then we're going to get out of here.
Joining us, I'm Samantha Jones.
I'm Steve Savard. We begin with the News 4 exclusive. Tonight, St. Louis's prosecutor is claiming St. Louis City Police held her for more than 15 minutes during a traffic stop.
Police, though, tell a very different story. Then News 4 has obtained video showing the incident. This all comes as a circuit attorney sues the city, police, and police union, accusing them of a racist conspiracy to take her down. Tonight, News 4 investigator Chris Nakes shows us what happened during the traffic stop, and you'll only see it here on News 4.
Market Street, the evening of December 23rd. St. Louis police spot this vehicle driving without headlights and initiate a traffic stop. According to St. Louis police, the driver was circuit attorney Kim Gardner. Gardner mentioned the incident earlier this month during an interview with CBS News.
I was stopped for no lights but held for over 15 minutes, but I still don't know the reason why.
By the St. Louis
Police
Metropolitan
Department.
PD.
Yeah. But it's okay. But those are intimidation tactics that are used to start reform.
Gardner talked about intimidation and reiterated her point about the length of the stop with a local radio station.
How long they hold you for?
Over 15 minutes.
But she's not talking about it publicly. She's lying about it publicly.
Jeff Rorta represents the St. Louis Police Officers Association. He says the officer did not realize Gardner was the driver when he initiated the stop. According to the video obtained by News 4, the stop lasts just over 6 minutes, less than the 15 minutes Gardner has claimed.
Is it possible she got stopped in 6 minutes, felt like over 15 minutes?
Well, I think when you're the circuit attorney, the facts are not like alternate facts. I mean, I think you got to get stuff right because the stakes are very high.
You can't see it in the video, but Rorta claims an investigator from Gardner's office arrived on the scene and engaged with the officer.
Her investigators showed up, interfered with the traffic stop, tried to intimidate the officer. I mean, I would have arrested him. You just can't show up and interfere with a traffic stop. He should have gone to jail.
According to police, Gardner was given a warning. No ticket was written. We asked the circuit attorney for an interview, but instead received a written statement, which first referenced the night of December 23rd. A second statement amended the date to December 24th, Christmas Eve, the date Gardner claims the incident occurred, which would contradict this video. The circuit attorney says the events of the night in question are worthy of serious attention, and as such, we will not address Mr. Rorta's incorrect account of what transpired. We will note that Mr. Rorta's dismissive attitude and willingness to publicly comment on such a matter without taking the time to gather credible information regarding the events is unfortunate. This serves as yet another example of the biased rhetoric that made legal action necessary against the St. Louis Police Union. Rorta says the officer did nothing wrong and would stop anyone driving without their lights on.
She should have been thanking the cop, not trying to, bulldoze him.
Just to be clear, not only does Gardner dispute the facts provided by police in the union, she is not in agreement on the date of the traffic stop. Police told me the video on the 23rd is Gardner. She claims she was pulled over on Christmas Eve. If more develops on this story, of course, we will let you know. Chris Nagus, News 4 Investigates.
Okay, that's more from Kim Gardner up in St. Louis. And we're going to keep hearing this stuff out of her because these are troubled people. We got to get control of our politics, people. We're not in control of this. We're not in control of what Soros does. But we'll live with the consequences.